welcome to the Contra Costa Transportation Authority's meeting. Rich, this year's chair. And at this time, I would like to ask Terry-Ann to please play a short video, if you'll listen to this. Thank you.
This meeting will be conducted as a Zoom webinar to allow for public participation and comments. The Contra Costa Transportation Authority does not condone hate speech in any form. We continually strive to make life better for all members of our community and create an atmosphere where everyone feels a sense of safety and belonging. We ask that anyone who wishes to speak does so with civility, respect, and kindness for others. Citizens will have 3 minutes to speak. It is requested that public speakers state their names and organizations, but providing such information is voluntary. Citizens participating in person wishing to speak should submit a public speaker card to the clerk. Citizens participating by Zoom wishing to speak should use the raise hand feature or dial *9 if participating via phone, and the chair or staff will call upon them at the appropriate time. Written public comments received in accordance with the teleconferencing special notice on the meeting agenda will be provided to the members. If authors of the written correspondence would like to speak, they should raise their hand in Zoom or submit a public speaker card, and the chair will call upon them at the appropriate time. All written correspondence received after that and during the meeting will be entered into the record. Thank you for participating in a meeting of the Contra Costa Transportation Authority.
Thank you, Terry-Ann. And at this time, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Carlson?
Here.
Commissioner Fideli?
Here.
Commissioner/Representative Glover?
Here.
Commissioner Haskew?
Here.
Commissioner Kelly?
Here.
Commissioner Meadows?
Here.
Commissioner G. for Sauce?
Here.
Vice Chair Hernandez-Thorpe?
Here.
Chair Arnrich?
Here.
Representative Foley and Peoples are absent, as well as Commissioner/Representative Noack. We do have a quorum.
Great, thank you. And at this time, will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And at this time, we will take public comment, and this is an opportunity for anyone here to speak on anything that is not on tonight's agenda. And at this time, Terry-Ann, do we have anybody online or any written public comment?
No public comment, written or verbal.
And is there anyone here in present who would like to speak? If so, please stand and rise to the microphone. Seeing none. And we'll note that Sue Noack is here. Welcome, Sue. And our BART representative is here, Mark Foley. Mark, welcome. Great. Okay, then at this time, since we will close public comment on this, item number 4, we will move to a closed session. And the commissioners are going to exit the board and head over to the Diablo conference room. This is in reference to conference with legal counsel of anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D, and it involves 2 cases. Following that meeting, we will return back into open session and report out, if anything, and continue with our meeting. Thank you.
That did not work.
be acted on in one motion. However, if there's anybody in the audience or the public who would like to remove one for discussion, please signify by raising your hand. Do we have anybody virtually or otherwise? Terry Ann.
No public comment, written or verbal.
Okay, and nobody would like to pull an item? Anybody here in the room like to? If not, is there anybody on the board who'd like to remove an item for discussion? Seeing none, is there a motion?
I move to approve the consent calendar. Second.
It's been moved by Haskew, seconded by Nowak. Any further comments? Terry Ann, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Carlson,
Aye.
Commissioner Fidelli,
Aye.
Commissioner G,
Aye.
Commissioner Glover, Commissioner Haskew,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Meadows,
Aye.
Commissioner Nowak,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez Thorpe,
Aye.
Chair Arnrich, and is Commissioner Glover on his way back? Do we want to wait or move forward? Okay, motion passes unanimously with Commissioner Glover and Perkins absent.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Brian Kelleher. I'm the Chief Financial Officer for CCTA. I'm going to do a share screen of our presentation. There we go. Okay, every year that I've been doing this, I always, think back to my city days, and when you talk about a mid-year budget presentation, it's usually done in December, January. But things for the new board members here at CCTA, it's a little different here at CCTA, only because we do a lot of capital projects. And with the capital projects, the timing that comes in from the invoices related to all the work, a lot of things that we do is always based off of the cities and the other agencies that send us their invoices. So it's hard to do a budget right away in December and January, only because we're still waiting to see where the progress is for the timing of all the individual invoices and things. So with that, we start the process. We start the process here usually in the beginning of January when everybody returns from the holidays. We start working with the projects departments, all of their consultants, everyone in planning, all of the programs and different departments as well, and even administration plays a part in taking a look at all of their contracts. We go through all the contracts and try and look at where are we at this point in time and how do you think we're going to move forward in the year. And so with that, when we brought the budget to the board in June of last year, we thought we were going to spend $217,000 to complete all the projects and programs. And as we went through and reviewed everything, again, it's a timing of when we're going to deliver these projects, where we are in getting a lot of the environmental pieces and some of the other timing as a result of waiting for the cities to get back to us to let us know where they are on some of their projects as well. And so with that, we're presenting a decrease of $29.5 million. Our sales tax revenues are going to remain the same. I have a slide on that. And as we go through, the federal, state, and local revenues are relatively about the same. The biggest decrease in there is other sources. Other sources is a revenue component that's built upon prior years. So when they passed Measure J, every year we put away a set of money that accumulates over time. And so when it comes time for your cities and agencies to deliver a project that was earmarked as part of our strategic plan, the funding's there well in advance for you to go ahead and do it. So therefore your other sources will increase in expenditures because we're using prior year dollars. And so there's a timing that's being delayed on several projects and programs that we thought was going to be done at the beginning of last fiscal year. So as we talk about sales tax as a result of the pandemic, as we sit here today, 4 years ago, we started the pandemic. We thought our sales tax revenues was going to drop into the 70 million mark, and we were surprised to see that it came in around 90 million. And since then, things have only been increasing. The online sales continue to increase. The timing of when we receive payment is getting better. And so during the 21, 22, and 23 years, we had some robust increases, and we seem to have reached the point where things are remaining pretty steady. I was looking at some documentation I got yesterday, looking at calendar year 2022 over 2023, and there was only a 1% decrease. And so I felt it was good when we started this, and it made me feel a lot better that things are slowing down just a little bit. We're staying relatively about $117 million for this year, and we're right on track as we finished up the holiday season, which is usually our biggest season with sales tax. So 117 million is a good projectable number for this fiscal year. When we look at other funding components, and the budget was $180 million, 120 million approximately is sales tax. You got to start thinking about all the other funds that we're going to be bringing in. On the capital project side, there's almost $39 million in projects. RM3 money is in there, federal, state, local partnership, SHOP money, STIP, ECRFA, a very small amount for one of the projects, state transportation planning, TRSIP, and some other funding from other cities and different things. And there's about 3.4 million from the Tri-Valley Transportation for one of the projects. And then also, in addition to the capital projects, we have some federal surface transportation money for the planning division, state planning and programming, which helps pays for a number of salaries for staff that spend a little bit of time delivering the programs for the agency. And then at the end of the year, we take a look at how much we paid for the CMA function, how much money we received as revenue to offset those expenses, and then we divide it out among the other cities, and that's about $287,000 for last fiscal year. City of San Ramon has a contribution of about $4.8 million, and that again is for the Iron Horse Trail project that we're working on. And as we look at the capital projects, some of the funding in here, we break it down. So there's about $33.5 million for all of the capital project programs. And then the RM3 funding is $19 million, which we saw on the previous slide. And this is kind of how the funding offsets all of the individual projects. And so if you see in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a negative $5.5 million. Again, it's the timing of receiving the invoices on all the capital projects and then when we seek reimbursement. So sometimes it could be a month to 2 months before we get invoices on the capital projects, and then by the time we turn them around and get them to get reimbursed, it could be another 60 days for Caltrans or MTC to pay us. And so there's a timing of money in and money out. Again, this is the capital project changes, just looking at some of the biggest projects in there, the I-680 SR4 interchange. That's a series of projects. That's the 684 project that's in there that was wrapping up, and then it's the following phases on the Highway 4 that we're working on. And you can see that there was a delay in some of the things that we're doing, and some of the major project expenditures were being pushed out an additional year. Same thing with the I-680 corridor and the innovation project there. I think there was a delay in delivering some of the MOD, Mobility on Demand project there, so we've moved some of those expenditures into a future fiscal year. And then we have the administration budget. That's about $2.5 million. It's increasing about $51,000. Everything that we try and do is in our tax expenditure plan. There's 1% that's set aside for administration. And so what we always try and do is bring to you and kind of tell you where we are on the administrative side. And it's not just one individual that gets charged to that department. It's many of the individuals at CCTA that spend a percentage of their time. And there's a percentage of my time in there. Terry Ann obviously delivers a lot of work here for the authority, and a percentage of her time is in there. And so we're running about $650,000, and that's going to be about a 0.83% for the fiscal year, which is below the limitation. And so that surplus money in the future is just like when we closed Measure C. There'll be some surplus money in there to help pay for salaries as we move forward. Office expenses and equipment, we increased that about $200,000. Earlier this year, we projected, we had a resolution for $200,000 for office furniture as we're expanding. I'm currently working with Tim and Terry Ann as well. We're looking at renewing our lease here at the authority. We may have to spend some money to buy the new office equipment, but most of these expenses may not be done until we finish the project in July and August of next fiscal year. So the budget will just flow into the next budget that we present to you in June of this year. Professional services is up about $456,000. We worked with Lindy as far as the expenditures and different things that we were going to do for social media, project management, and support. Our attorney fees have increased as we're taking on new responsibilities and extra task items related to CCTA. Authority-wide salaries and benefits reflect the current salary, pension, and post-employment and workers' comp rates, and there's an increase about $80,000. I think right now we're up to 24 employees. And then the programs department. The programs department is made up of a lot of return to source that's related to ferry service, bus services, TLC, ped bike. A lot of the TLC is the transportation for livable communities. And then again, we allocate resolutions to the individual cities to build these projects. And by the time we check in with them, kind of see where they are they going to be working on these projects, they say, oh, it's not going to happen until next year. So we make a reduction on the TLC budget of about $7.5 million, and we made $1 million reduction on other programs as well. And then the local sub-regional street maintenance is about $23.5 million. That money comes into us. We give out about 20% to all of the cities based off of population and road miles. And then there's several program budgets that were revised to reflect current commitments. Planning department has a budget of about $8.9 million. And a lot of that increase in the $8.9 million over the prior fiscal years is a lot to do with the countywide transportation plan. There's the Safe Streets for All, which is got an expenditure, but it has a direct offset in revenue. And so once we start working on those projects and we get all of the documents signed, they'll start working on that. And then once we start having the expenditures, we'll seek reimbursement. And it's kind of going to be a one-for-one wash. And a lot of cities are contributing as well to help pay for their specific projects. Debt service is about $45 million. We have a level debt service through 2034. As we continue, just like your home mortgage, we continue to pay off this. The principal amount goes up, the interest amount comes down, but it's going to be about $27 million in principal, $17.4 million in interest. With that, staff requests your approval of the budget, and we'll make the amendments, and we will be back in June to tell you all the good things that are going to happen for next year.
Brian, thank you. I always love listening to you. Our budgets are, I thought, complicated, but for the past decade or so I've been here, it's really complicated, and it's always moving. And we spend money, and we lose money because we don't own the assets. So we put $100 million in something, and we get no credit for it except all the glory. So amazing accounting. At this time, any questions or comments of staff to Brian? Oh, good. We did look at this at APC in depth, and Brian had more hair then. So that's how it went. At this time, then, is there anybody virtually or written who has any comments on this? Public comment?
No public comment, written or verbal.
Is there anybody here in the room who would like to make public comment? Seeing none, then bring back the item for action.
I'll move the item.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Well, this is reverse. So this is moved by Nowak, seconded by Haskew. Okay. With that, Terry Ann, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Fideli,
Aye.
Commissioner G,
Aye.
Commissioner Glover, Commissioner Haskew,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Meadows,
Aye.
Commissioner Nowak,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez-Thorpe,
Aye.
Chair Arnrich.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously with Commissioner Perkins absent.
Great. Brian, thank you to you and your team. All right. This will take us to item number 10B. And actually, 10B 1 and 2. And these are action items, and these are going to be presented by none other than our Executive Director, Tim Hales, on the Connected Autonomous Vehicle Program. And the first one is seeking authorization to execute agreement with NextGen Mobility for management, operations, and maintenance of GoMentum. Tim, all yours.
Thank you very much, Chair Arnrich. And before I get going, I want to just recognize a few folks in the audience. Kevin Romick is in the audience. He is the chair and president of Next Generation Mobility. And then also kind of extension of staff, I'll say, is Jeremiah Trinka, and then also Frank there from Advanced Mobility Group. And so really excited about the partnership with Next Generation Mobility. They've been just fantastic to work with, kind of getting this the terms dialed in on this professional services agreement. And they've been already supporting the program. We actually had a few tours this week out at GoMentum Station with board members, and a few people from their board, including Kevin, have attended those tours just to be able to start welcoming the board and interacting with the board, and really kind of just a testament to the new partnership that we have with Next Generation Mobility. Before you tonight is a professional service agreement to essentially contract with Next Generation Mobility to be the managing entity for GoMentum Station. And I'm not going to go through all the details, but generally it outlines that CCTA will retain the ownership of the program as it has over the last several years. And then and we will be delivering and implementing that program really in collaboration and in partnership with Next Generation Mobility. And it also kind of outlines at a high level the roles and responsibilities of the agreement. And just at a high level, generally CCTA has been really responsible for the public agency partnerships with the U.S. Navy, the City of Concord, as well as our federal and state partners, US DOT, as well as Caltrans. And then they are primarily responsible for dealing with the private sector partners or our testing partners out at GoMentum Station. The other thing that also highlights is really just a number of requirements and performance requirements as we kind of walk into kind of, I'll say, the next chapter of GoMentum Station. One of them is actually a revenue share of $500,000 or 10% of the gross revenue coming to CCTA, and that is mainly for staff time. That's mainly for us we usually burn roughly about $250,000 to $300,000 a year in staff time, and so we'll keep an eye on that as we can accumulate a pot and work closely with NextGen on that. It also really requires a number of deliverables that I think are essential to the business of GoMentum Station. The operational safety plan, which I think is really important in terms of maintaining safety, whether that be radio protocols, scheduling, those types of things. And then also there is a master plan. So as we kind of look forward to GoMentum 2.0, making sure we have clear alignment between CCTA and Next Generation Mobility on that vision of expansion and providing additional facilities at Naval Weapons Station. And then also there will be a strategic plan that kind of provides that capital improvement program in terms of how the revenues will be expensed both on the capital and operational side over a 2-year period. And then the other one is an annual budget, which is essential. And then also a program asset inventory is also part of the agreement to really maintain a good inventory of all the assets out there that'll be retained and owned by the program. And then lastly, quarterly reporting. So those are all of the required documents that are essential to the operations of GoMentum Station, as well as CCTA will approve and oversee all construction activities, and then also making sure that we have priority access to the facility for our own testing activities out at GoMentum Station. That's also reasonable because obviously we don't want to necessarily impact the business of Next Generation Mobility from a revenue standpoint. So those are all kind of the high-level points relative to Next Generation Mobility. So with that, I'll just, staff is seeking authorization for the chair to execute this agreement and give the executive director the ability to make any non-substantive changes. So
Great. Thank you, Tim. And also big thanks to Mara for working on this, as well as NextGen, our CEO, Kevin Romick, sitting here. I know David McCrae, attorneys, been greatly involved. At this time, any questions or comments from the board? Yes, Federal.
Yeah, can you talk about the revenue that's generated and what happens with that revenue? I hear you say contract, but can you get a little bit more in the weeds?
Yeah, I'll do my best. So Gomentum Station is kind of I'll say fee for service. So the testing partners all have their own individual agreements that are owned by Next Generation Mobility. I mean, CCTA will not have access, to those agreements to protect the confidentiality of the partners. But generally, those agreements, is a fee for service. So those fees are then, paid to Next Generation Mobility to provide the testing partners the access they need to do their research and development. And then those revenues obviously are generally what we've seen historically at Gomentum Station is roughly in the neighborhood of about $3 to $3.5 million annually in terms of revenues. And so a lot of those revenues are really primarily for staff time, so for example, like Jeremiah and others, but also, so that's the operational expense to operationalize the day-to-day work at Gomentum Station through their staff, and then also a capital expenditure. So Next Generation Mobility is a 501c3, it's a not-for-profit, so the goal is to basically take those revenues and invest them back into the overall program.
And then 10% or a minimum $500,000.
Yeah, so 10% or a minimum five, come back to CCTA kind of off the top, basically.
Yeah, that's great. Sue?
I just wanted to say, thank you to you guys for the new agreement and Kevin as well in this new agreement, because I think it's a long way from what was in place earlier. It's a significant improvement. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate Kevin's involvement and Jeremiah coming over, and I know what a great job you did with AAA running that, so appreciate you being there. So I just wanted to kudos for a much better agreement than what we've had in the past, and I think this is pretty exciting for a next step for Gomentum.
Well done. Seeing no further questions, Terry, do we have any public comment online or written?
No public comment, written or verbal.
Under public comment, is there anybody here who would like to make any public comment? Seeing none, we'll close that. The item is before.
Move approval.
Yeah, Mr. Glover. Yes, Federal.
Second.
Mr. Chair, I would make the motion for approval of the contract.
Thank you. It's been moved by our two county supervisors, moved by Federal Glover, seconded by Ken Carlson. With that, Terry Ann, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Carlson?
Yes.
Commissioner Fideli?
Aye.
Commissioner G?
Aye.
Commissioner Glover?
Aye.
Commissioner Haskew?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Meadows?
Aye.
Commissioner Nowak?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez-Thorpe?
Aye.
Chair Arnrich? Motion passes unanimously with Commissioner Perkins absent.
Great, thank you. Well done. Thank you to everybody on this. All right, this will take us to item 10B, and this is Connected Vehicle and Autonomous Vehicle Program, and Tim is also going to, oh, whoops. You're actually on this one, but I'm reading the wrong one. It is item 2, the numbering here. Oh, B2. It's B2. Okay, thank you. Tim is also presenting this. This is the authorization to execute the asset purchase agreement and termination of the Mobility on Demand grant between our authority and AAA, as well as approval of a resolution for the fund exchange reserve allocations to support the transition of the equity for entity for Gomentum Station. Tim, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Arnrich. So this is a 3-part action item that's before you tonight. And again, I want to really highlight the partnership that we've had with AAA over the last 5 years. It's been a really fantastic partnership. Gomentum Station would not be what it is today without AAA and the staff that was there. They have really foundationally developed better relationships with the Navy than we ever had before, but also really expanded the program in more than many ways. When we first started our relationship with AAA, I think we had maybe a half dozen testing partners, and AAA was able to secure, up to 16 testing partners and some partners that were very key and anchored to the program. So, and I think that without AAA, we would not be here today. And I think I'm excited to say that through this asset purchase agreement, we are being able to retain the name of Gomentum Station through a trademark licensing and IP purchase. And then also all of the assets at Gomentum Station will actually be retained and stay on site. And so as we've kind of started this with AAA back when they first notified us back in October, we have been working, together as through a seamless transition. And I'm happy to say that we have achieved that in terms of a seamless transition. The testing partners, as well as the program, will continue to operate after April 1, and that was April 1 was basically the date that AAA was essentially exiting from the operations of the program. And so we are going to be retaining operations from April 1 in a seamless fashion through Next Generation Mobility, which again, they've been fantastic, very nimble, very flexible in terms of getting the program up and running in a very short amount of time. And so what's in the asset purchase agreement? Basically, we're purchasing the physical assets, the IP, as well as releasing AAA from their commitments on our Mobility on Demand grant. And that is primarily because they feel that they don't want to follow through on that car share in terms of our relationship with AAA. And so they're going to be actually transferring the assets in terms of delivering that mod platform or a car share platform as part of the asset purchase agreement. So, and so the assets outline basically testing equipment, office space, storage facilities, and as well as trailers, equipment, et cetera, all at Gomentum Station. And so, and then to fund that $1 million, we're requesting or considering the board to approve an additional $1 million from the Fund Exchange Reserve. So you may recall last month the board took action on $1 million for the actual transition of the activities. And that was to help support starting and transitioning the program over to Next Generation Mobility. And so now we're asking for $1 million to basically pay to AAA for the assets and the IP, as well as again, the termination of the mod grant. And then the third element of this, and it's attachment C, is the actual termination agreement. And so that's self-explanatory. So through all of that, basically what will happen is this agreement will become effective March 22nd with an effective close date of April 1st, which then aligns with the transition of Gomentum Station from AAA to Next Generation Mobility. So we're asking the authorization for the chair to sign the asset purchase agreement, the resolution for the Fund Exchange Reserve, and then also the mod termination agreement. So that's what's before you this evening. So, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Great, Tim, thank you. I just want to hold up. My AAA card says I've been a member, put my glasses on, 1969, so that's 55 years. And having been one, and I think Federal was on this when we originally worked with getting AAA to come on board, really proud of that relationship, where we are today, and the great work that AAA has done to help get us there. And but just want to know that it's a company that I personally have done business with for a very long time. So with that, any comments, questions at this point?
That was the year I was born.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I won't tell you how old I was.
Just one comment, one thing I really want to recognize AMRA through this.
Yes.
AMRA was really the core to this entire negotiation with AAA. And so she's been fantastic and
And she's
really.
a AAA member.
And I'm also a
Good.
AAA
Oh,
member
wow.
too.
Come on, we're in Northern
I
California.
got everything
Of
in
course
tri-
we are.
I got everything in AAA, car insurance, life insurance, homeowner insurance,
go.
it's all there. But anyways, yeah, so I just want to acknowledge Amra and the great work that she's
Thank you,
been
Amra.
doing over the last couple weeks. It's
Thank
been a lot of work. It's been a lot of work.
Yep.
And you have
Absolutely.
an excellent executive director who
Great.
was really a joy to work with, and so, anyway, thank you, Tim, but I think the credit
Well
goes
done.
to you.
Great. Any questions or comments? Yes, please. Paul.
Thank you. So as part of the assets, the Bolt Chevrolets, are they part of those assets?
Yeah, so they're in the assets, there's 10 Chevrolet Bolts, and that'll be dedicated to the car share program.
Car
So,
share, okay.
so what we'll do is use those bolts to operationalize the Mobility on Demand program. And that'll be basically those cars will be distributed, per the grant requirements, those cars will be distributed through Walnut Creek, Danville, and San Ramon as part of the
Fantastic.
Innovate, through the
Danville did
Innovate.
something. Wow.
Yeah, so through the Innovate 680 project, there's the mobile app where you basically, origin, destination, plan, schedule, pay for, receive rewards for your trips. So the car share is supposed to be one of the mobility options. And so the original intent was AAA was going to offer that through their gig program. And so gig is slowly transitioning out of business. And so they basically are transferring all those assets to CCTA for the
And
program.
are there designated places for those cars, or is that yet to be determined?
That's yet to be determined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just the cities they're
To the
supposed to be
cities that
part
we
of.
have. Okay, thank
That's
you.
great. Actually, good news, Paul. Thank you for asking that. That's a great asset. Any other questions or comment at this point? Tyrion, do we have, under public comment, do we have anybody online or written?
No public comment, written or verbal.
Great. Is there anybody here live in the audience who would like to speak on this item? Seeing none, then we'll close the public hearing and ready for a motion.
All right, I'll move it. Everybody else they did it once and then they're,
My
there you
turn
go.
to second.
Okay. Moved by Noack, seconded by, Luella. Housekeep. Thank you. With that, Terrian, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Carlson,
Yes.
Commissioner Fideli,
Aye.
Commissioner G,
Aye.
Commissioner Glover,
Aye.
Commissioner Haskew,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Meadows,
Aye.
Commissioner Nowak,
Yes?
Vice Chair Hernandez Thorpe,
Aye.
Chair Arnridge.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously with Commissioner Perkins absent.
Excellent. And again, thank you to our partners, AAA, for helping accommodate a very tight schedule that we had. Well done. All right, this will take us to item number 11, coming from our Planning Committee. The next item is an action item which will be presented by Rashida Kamara, seeking authorization to expand the countywide low-income fair equity program to Central and West Contra Costa County. Rashida, welcome.
Thank you, Chair Arnridge. Thank you, Commissioners. Good evening. My name is Rashida Kamara, and I'm the Program Manager for Accessibility and Equity. So, a little bit of a background. The LIFE program, which was formerly the Means-Based Fare program, is the low-income subsidy program that was initially done as a pilot with TriDelta. Last October, we expanded that pilot, in which TriDelta is going for another 12 months. Part of the accessible transportation plan. Now the world can see me. Part of the accessible transportation plan was to actually expand these programs and make them countywide, not just in certain parts of the county. So as a result, the partnership has expanded to include County Connection that services Central County and also WestCat. And I'd like to credit the WestCat team. They're the ones that actually came up with the LIFE name, which is the Low Income Fare Equity, only because everybody kept asking, well, what does means-based fare actually mean? And it's a program that basically provides equitable solutions by way of a fair subsidy for paratransit users going to and from different trips that they use for paratransit services. So the recommendation is we would like authorization for the executive director to execute resolution 2410G with County Connection in the amount of $145,000, and also resolution 2411G with Westcat in the amount of $100,000 in order to expand the program to these different areas of the county. And with that, I'll be more than happy to take questions.
I love your reports. Short, concise, to the point, and really cool stuff you're doing. And I think we have a question, comment.
Just a comment. Rashida, thank you very much. I'm on the Westcat board, and they thank you very much for expanding this to our area of the county. We have a lot of low-income people who will be really, really pleased to be part of this program.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions of Rashida? Seeing none, Terrian will go to public comments. Is there any written or online public comments?
No public comment, written or verbal.
Are there any public comments for those attending in person here? Seeing none, we'll close the public comments, and this item is ready for a motion or action.
And as the person who is really just dedicated to this kind of thing, I make the motion.
And I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Haskew, seconded by Kelly. Seeing no further comments, Terrian, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Carlson?
Aye.
Commissioner Fideli?
Aye.
Commissioner G?
Aye.
Commissioner Glover?
Aye.
Commissioner Haskew?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Meadows?
Aye.
Commissioner Nowak?
Yes?
Vice Chair Hernandez-Thorpe?
Aye.
Chair Arnrich?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously with Commissioner Perkins absent.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, I have to tell you, this is speed voting tonight. These were some big, I mean, this was actually, the last item was important, but it was probably our smallest item. But do not underestimate the amount of time it took to get us to this. I mean, we were all kind of pleased, really pleased, but shocked that we were able to get it done. And again, AAA as a partner on this to help us. These are really tight time frames, so really well done. Okay, this will take us to item 12 under correspondence and communications, and you'll see the 4 reports from our partners, and this will take us to item number 14, 30 board chair's comments. I just would like to report out on 2 items. I, as chair, and also vice chair, we both attended with our executive director, Tim Hale, and Lindy Johnson to Washington, D.C. on an advocacy trip last week from Tuesday through Wednesday, and it was a whirlwind. We spent most of our meetings at DOT from a variety of departments, a lot of new appointees. Every meeting we went to, I think I said this today at our ribbon cutting, they lined up everybody in their office to be there. They wanted to know what we're up to, what we're doing, and it was very nice. They also told us that we got a SMART grant. And we're obviously there working other grants, mega grants and things like that. But it was a really great reception, and I think the last meeting that we had in DOT with NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic, they had everybody. They had their lawyers there. They had the gentleman who's actually writing the new codes for autonomous vehicles. And the ask is, they want to know what's going on and what's happening in there. And Tim really relayed the message is, we just need you to publish some codes so people can move forward in this industry. And we think that's forthcoming. We also met with a representative, brilliant, knowledgeable man, particularly for California, with Union Pacific Railroad. And that was looking at getting from Pittsburgh all the way Tracy on the old railway line there that they still have active, about running passenger service on that. And he gave us really good direction and who to talk to. And the mayor of Pittsburgh had some issues on another project in Antioch, sorry. Well, it's starting in Pittsburgh. It's right on the border. But he got his answer before the meeting was over. So really well done. We met then with 3 Congress members, our 2 local, Garamendi and Mark DeSaulnier, had great receptions. They also talked about some earmarks in some projects that might help us. Those are mostly going to go, because as they look around the county, they're mostly going to go, those earmarks will go towards East County, as they're trying to do it fair and equitably about spreading that money around. And lastly, we were also at, I think he's chairman of Appropriations, Congressman McGill, and God, why did I say McGill? We were in, it was an Irish day that we were there.
And he's
Yeah,
Irish.
and he's Irish, yes. Thank you, Michael Quigley. And lastly, just one of those small one, we also, the same team, went to MTC's event in Sacramento the night before we left. We got home at around midnight, got up and caught an early flight a few hours later, but we were in Sacramento as MTC folks were there and their legislative meeting. And that's all I have to report. Lamar, anything?
I'll just add that that these are intense trips, but outside of all the work that we do, it is absolutely what I find interesting about all these conferences that I go to, is that I get to learn more and more about the individuals who sit behind these suits and fancy clothes. And it's absolutely, we have some strong individuals, from Tim Hill personally, and so it helps me understand, you know, how you wake up every single day just ready to go and nonstop. Newell, my friend from Modesto, I was absolutely, you know, I don't know you beyond that. So just getting to know people more personally, it helps me better understand and better work with you as we do this work, because it's not easy work, and I really do appreciate getting to know people more personally.
Thank you. It was also great because he used to live there and he went to GW. And we found out he was a protester, a good protester at that. With that, any comments from fellow commissioners? Sue?
I'll just comment, I spent 2 days in Sacramento last week as MTC representative for the county, primarily talking about the potential 2026 enabling transportation measure. There were interesting meetings because the original measure that was being proposed was Wiener SB 925, and the Friday before we got there, they merged two bills, one from Senator Wahab, who wanted a consolidation of all the transit agencies, with SB 925. So we really didn't know what the bill was going to look like when it came out this week. But so we spent a lot of time talking to, I think I probably had, I don't know, 12 meetings, I guess, with different legislators or staff talking about that. And you know, the idea right now is not a force of consolidation, but a consolidation plan. And I'm sure these discussions are going to be ongoing for the next couple of months. But what's got to happen pretty quickly is this enabling legislation to allow MTC to go out with a measure at the earliest 2026 for a transportation, transit-related bill. So anyway, there were interesting meetings. It too was a whirlwind. I was exhausted when I got home Tuesday night from that. We went Sunday night dinner through Tuesday night. But it was good to meet with a lot of our local representatives and get their thoughts and be able to give them our thoughts as to what we want to see happen. So
that's great. Well, thank you to you and Federal for doing that. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot of moving parts there right now. Pretty amazing. Anything ex officios? Or, I'm sorry, we'll go to Federal, Luella, and then Mark.
Yeah, I was also there representing MTC, and we made the rounds, and I got to tell you, it was a lot of work, a lot of meetings. We'll see what happens in terms of the consolidation and that language in there, because it definitely needs some work. Excuse me. But we clearly made the rounds, and so appreciated to see CCTA representation at the what do we want to call it? Reception. Yeah, so it was great to have you all there and participating. Today was a great event with the ribbon cutting on the McConnelly Trail. I've been on this board for longer than I really remember, but that is the first event that I've seen that type of a crowd come out. And it was just great to see that. So well put together, well organized. And I do want to acknowledge Bruce Olson, who was many, many accolades in terms of your steadfast approach to making sure that the bike community is always represented. And I do want to comment on AAA. Great work. You know, Tim and Amber, you guys have done an outstanding job with that. People don't realize the type of work that's done because you make it look so easy. But I know that you probably are able to get a little more rest, and we really do appreciate the partnership that we've had along the way with AAA. But looking forward to the new contract and the language that's in there. Much cleaner, easier to follow. So really appreciate all that work.
Great, thank you, Fed. Luella?
Yeah, there was a Zoom board meeting for CalCog, and one of the main items discussed was the request for people to reject a $300 million rescission of the Regional Early Action Planning grants, and they would like some support from people to come in there. They're watching the bills, and AB 2086 Transportation Funding Report and Public Dashboard are they're seeking comments where they're not happy with it as it stands. AB 2290 Transportation Class 3 bikeways, bike facilities. It's kind of a program to insist that bikes be included in all road improvements, and there was a lot of concern about how that will impact balance funding, et cetera. AB 2535 Trade Corridor Enhancement Program. It has to do with fuel funding, and we were still dealing with the old Wiener Transportation Planning Award. You guys just jumped right over us, so it was good. They're going to give us updates again pretty soon.
Great, Luella, thank you for that.
Luella, do you want to talk about the accessibility workshop?
I guess I do. Yeah, we had Rashida puts together an incredible team, and we met with, we had a workshop, and we talked about some of the things, and Rashida, if I say anything wrong, you come and correct me. We talked about what's stopping us from reaching our goals, what we can do, what I saw in the kind of socialization of the people with silos. Their silos didn't mean so much because we all realized we all wanted to have the same goal, and that was to make this program work so that we have accessible transportation, one ride, one everything. And I could see light bulbs going over people's heads. That's how excited they were about doing this. And I believe at some point we're going to have another workshop. Yes, I got it. So we're going to continue our successful work, and thank you, Rashida, for making it not only powerful, but also fun.
Thank you for that as well, Luella. And our BART board representative, Mark Foley. Mark?
Thank you, Chair Arnridge. 3 quick updates from the world of BART. In case you didn't know, earlier this month, 7 UC Berkeley students from the Transportation Graduate Students Organizing Committee set a Guinness World Record by visiting all 50 stations in 5 hours, 47 minutes, and 42 seconds. So they will be in the record book the next time it is digitally published, I guess. The second item is it was a single, I believe it was a single fare trip, so it was like $12, I think, for almost 6 hours of great entertainment. They were live streaming along the way. People were delivering snacks. They had to schedule bathroom breaks. Anyway, a lot went into this.
How many different lines were they on? Yellow, red?
So yellow, red, orange, Yeah, it's everything. It's all
Well,
50
they hit all
stations.
stations, but.
Yes, yeah. But,
They
so on
weren't
the
necessarily
weekends,
on all lines.
they did it on a Friday, so they would have 5 active lines that they would have hit. So, a lot of hard work. Good folks from UC. Second item, save the date. April 20th, Ride Through History. We are going to have our final Fleet of the Past leave the MacArthur Station down to the old end of the line in Fremont and go out of service once and for all. We will no longer have any new trains even in the system. I'm sorry, old trains, yes, because we're so ahead of schedule on the new trains, we actually didn't have to keep the old trains around. So we're actually retiring that fleet. So if you want one last ride for the history books, save the date April 20th. And just from a local note, just FYI, the last board meeting, the BART board approved a change in the parcel across the street, what's colloquially known as Block D, the Pleasant Hill lot, if you will, from business to residential. So we are hoping to move forward with some additional housing. And with that, I say thank you.
Mark, thank you for that. Okay, Paul Fidelli. Yes.
I wanted to make a shout out for another event in El Cerrito last week. We had a big groundbreaking for a complete street, so I wanted to thank CCTA, WICTAC, BART, a lot of other contributors up to the $14 million amount. Our vice chair, I wanted to thank the mayor of Antioch for coming out and giving good words, and it'll make a great around the Mayfair Market and the BART Del Norte station safer, nicer, cleaner, and a future of TOD in that side as well. So it's great news for us. Thank you.
Great. It reminds me, Lindy Johnson is going to reach out to all the board members. Chris has already volunteered. They're starting the outreach program to be in each of our communities, looking for the best event to bring our autonomous vehicle and sort of talk about us as CCTA. So if you can, when you send sign up list, I hope you do it in your own community because people have a tendency to listen to us if we're in our own community. With that, our executive report by our executive director, Tim.
Well, I think you all captured everything in my remarks, so I'll keep them pretty short. So started my day on BART with my bike going out to the McCallamy pedestrian overcrossing. So rode my bike all the way to the ribbon cutting, as well as Lamar. Lamar actually rode his bike out to the ribbon cutting too, so that was really exciting. Yeah, 2 blocks away. And he had this like, this bike that was like a monster bike. It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool actually. And was joined out there with, Bruce and Bike East Bay, as well as Girl Trek and a number of other folks. It was a huge showing from the biking community. So it was great. It was great. And then highlighted and acknowledged a lot of people. There's one person that I forgot to acknowledge at the ribbon cutting, and that is Stephanie Hu. So our director of projects. She actually delivered the project through design and environmental all the way through.
Let's give her a big hand now.
Yeah.
Stephanie, thank you. Well done.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. And then the other thing I wanted to kind of highlight was the federal advocacy trip. A big announcement that we got was we actually got a grant. So we got a SMART grant. And it's for a really cool program that Rashida and Ying put together to help support the accessibility work that we're doing. And it's the back-end kind of database, ride matching that helps match the right person with those needs with the right service. So we have 27 services in Contra Costa County, and so this will be kind of a one-stop shop to where they'll be able to really match the perfect or the right service, with that. And so that's really essential to the one call, one click as part of the coordinating entity and the accessible transportation. So, so that was really exciting. And then lastly, everyone think I talked about everything. I think the MTC ledge reception, I think we had a really strong showing from the East Bay at the ledge reception. So I was really excited about that. And in terms of, I wanted to just maybe, I think there's more to come here, but just on the bill that was, the language for 1031 was dropped on Monday, and there's primarily 4 main parts to it that I just want to make sure everyone's really familiar with. One, it requires a consolidation study by a state transportation university research institute, so most likely like Mineta. And obviously there's a lot of concerns around that. We met with our trans operators on Monday to kind of brainstorm on terms of how we want to respond to that. And obviously we're very much for coordination and not consolidation here in Contra Costa County. And so we're strategizing on how we want to respond to that. What's also interesting is that study is being done by the state, not by MTC. So that's another kind of interesting twist there. The second part of this is really giving MTCs the additional authority to implement the regional network management. And so those authorities would require reporting to legislator, the framework, regional network management, the council, et cetera. And then the third part is essentially a commute benefit ordinance in terms of to businesses in across the entire Bay Area is kind of the third element to this. And then the fourth and last final element of it is really the enabling authority for MTC to put out a revenue measure. So, and I think what's interesting about the way the bill is written, regardless, once the bill is passed, the first two things are put into effect immediately. And then the second two are then tied to a revenue measure. And so the reforms around the consolidation as well as giving MTC the authorities, those two things will go in effect as soon as the bill is actually, if it does pass. And so we're working with federal and Sioux, working with our trans operators to really kind of develop a strategy to make sure Contra Costa weighs in on the bill. And obviously, as we're looking towards a revenue measure, making sure that Contra Costa has a seat at the table. So just want to make sure that I highlight that. And then lastly, I want to celebrate CCTA one more time. The East Bay Innovation Awards are on March 28th. And so I know all of you have been invited to that. So hopefully you can attend. And we are receiving the, I think it's Innovative Agency Award. Legacy Award, thank you. And it's a Legacy Award. And that's a really cool award because no one really votes on that. It's East Bay EDA really kind of selects kind of the most, like I'll say can I say best agency? Can I say that? Okay. The best agency in the East Bay, basically. Longest contribution to innovation, thank you. So that's really exciting, and we're excited to see that award, and I'm excited to kind of share that with all of you on March 28th. So that concludes my report.
Fantastic.
Tim, one final thing.
Yes.
I want to introduce our new employee, Jay.
Is he here?
Yes.
Oh, man. Oh.
There we go. We actually have hired 2 employees. And so Jay is actually a Contra Costa resident. He actually lives in the city of Oakley. And so he's excited because we shortened his commute by about half. He used to work for the city of Oakland. And so he's excited to be working with CCTA and be part of the family. And so he's been fantastic. He's actually working with Stephanie on the project side and really focused on helping deliver all these projects. As you can tell, our portfolio of projects continues to grow. And so Jay is really providing the critical support. So Jay, you want to say a few words or introduce yourself? Yeah, just use the mic there.
And we forgive you for living at Oakland.
Good evening, Chair Arneridge and Commissioners. My name is Jay Zhang. I recently joined CCTA as associate engineer. A little bit about myself. My background is in civil engineering and project delivery. So prior to joining the TA, I worked for the City of Oakland, like Tim said, as a civil engineer for about 5.5 years. I was able to help the city achieve its goals to kind of reshape and redevelop their existing right-of-way to enhance accessibility and mobility, and really kind of promote the use of alternative modes of transportation. So I work under the complete street design section, so I deal with bikeways and pedestrians and things of that nature. And prior to that, I was a private consultant in Sonoma County, I worked there for about 3.5 years, also in the transportation realm. So I'm very glad to be here and excited to join this team and work with a great team here to deliver more projects in Contra Costa. Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Welcome aboard, and Tim's going to announce at the next meeting, he just stole another employee from the town of Danville. Our best, head of our transportation department that's coming to work here. It's not so bad because I still get to work with him, but anyway, we'll say that next time. With that, well done to everybody tonight and for the past month of all the work for all the subcommittees to get us to tonight's meeting. We accomplished a lot, and this meeting's adjourned.